Hello friends at home. In this video we will be doing today's math lesson using indirect comparison, and we are beginning on page 167 in our math books. The friends here in the classroom have their books open to page 167, and we will get started. So as you know, yesterday we started talking about measurement, and we looked at measuring the length of things. And we talked about how it's important when we measure things that not only do we make sure that all of the objects start at the same spot on the paper or on the board or whatever it is we're measuring, but also that we're using the same units to measure. We discussed the fact that if we were to use our feet to measure, well, my feet are much bigger than many of your feet. So if I were to say I need a rug that is 5 feet long, 5 of your feet would be much smaller than 5 of my feet. So it's not practical to use our body parts. So we talked about how we have to use the same units of measurement. Today we're going to be talking about comparing by saying something is longer or it is shorter. And we can do that comparing two objects by using a third object, in this case, a paper clip. Okay? So it says here, you can compare the lengths of two objects by using a third object. So which of these two critters is longer? It says use a paper clip to compare. So if we put the paper clip at the same starting point as this frog, we can see that the frog is longer than the paper clip. Do you see that? Now, right here, if we put the paper clip at the same starting point as our little, does anybody know what that is? Good job, tadpole. We can see that the paper clip is longer than the tadpole. So, if the frog is longer than the paper clip, and the paper clip is longer than the tadpole, then we know that the frog is longer than the tadpole. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, so now let's take a look down at the practice area. And it says compare the length of each picture to a small paper clip. Now, I will be using the small paper clip up here on the board. Later on, when we work with measurement, you will each get a paper clip of your own. But for now, I will be using the small paper clip up here to compare the lengths. And we're going to decide if each object is longer than or shorter than the other. Okay, so I'm going to get my short paper clip. And it's important to note that I'm using a short paper clip, not a long paper clip, because just like we talked about with different size feet, if we're using different size paper clips, we could get very different measurements, couldn't we? So I'm going to use the small paper clip or the short paper clip, okay? All right, so let's think about a banana and an apple. Using the paper clip, do you think that the banana is longer or the apple is longer? Victoria? Banana. The banana. So they wrote the word longer. So go ahead and trace that. The banana is longer than the apple. All right, now let's use our paper clip and we'll see here. Okay, there's that leaf. And now, oh, look at that one. So is this little leaf longer or shorter than this leaf? Connor? Shorter. So here we're going to write the word shorter. S-H-O-R-T-E-R. So the banana is longer than the apple. The maple leaf is shorter than the oak leaf. Is that an oak leaf? No. What is that? I didn't know what kind of tree it was. What do you think, Beckett? Maybe a birch tree? A honey tree? Okay. I don't know. All right. We have two arrows here. Here's the first arrow. I'll compare it to my paper clip. See how it's longer than the paper clip? And then here's our second arrow, comparing it to the paper clip. Oh, see, it's shorter than the paper clip. So even though looking at the arrows, it's kind of hard to tell which one's longer. When we use the paper clip, we can see, Beckett, this first one is what? Longer. So go ahead for number 3 and write the word longer. And then when you're finished writing longer, friends, go ahead and turn the page. We're now at the top of page 168. And it says write shorter or longer to finish each sentence. So we have a skateboard and a bike. Blake, is the skateboard shorter or longer than a bike? Shorter, yeah. And if you weren't sure, you could use your paper clip. See how the skateboard is shorter than the paper clip? But then if I do this, the bike is almost as big as the paper clip. So the skateboard is shorter. Somebody in this room is crumpling up their water bottle right now, and it's really distracting. So let's set our water bottle down on the ground, and let's focus on our math right now, okay? All right, now I have a moth and I have a butterfly, Drew. Is the moth shorter or longer than the butterfly? Longer. So for number 5, go ahead and write the word longer. Now, some of you are probably thinking this feels very easy. And I've told you many times that we start easy and then we build. And the reason we do that is because if something is easy for you, it means you're good at it. So if you're really good at it when it's simple, like longer and shorter, then you can get even better as we go into measuring using rulers and tape measures and things like that, which we'll get into next week, okay? So now let's look at the problem-solving question. It says Len, Mike, and Ralph make bracelets. So right here in this space, I'm going to put an L for Len, an M for Mike, and an R for Ralph. So that's Len, Mike, and Ralph, and they make bracelets. Now it says Len's bracelet is longer than Mike's bracelet. So here's Len's bracelet, and I'm just going to go like this. And it is longer than Mike's. So here's Mike's. I just have to make sure that Mike's. Okay, so now we have Len's is longer than Mike's, yes? It says Len's bracelet is shorter than Ralph's bracelet. Len's is shorter than Ralph. So here's Len. We have to make Ralph's even longer, right? Because Len's has to be shorter. So now they all start at the same point. And let's make sure it's true. Is Len's bracelet longer than Mike's? Yes. Is Len's bracelet shorter than Ralph's? Yes. So who made the longest bracelet? Ava June? Ralph. Good job. So here's the name Ralph. You can write that on the line. Ralph made the longest bracelet. All right, let's look down now at number 7. It says, what else could you use to measure if you didn't have a paper clip? If you were trying to compare the lengths of the objects, but you didn't have a paper clip, what else could you use? Isaac?
Measuring tape.
Okay, what if you didn't have a measuring tape? You could use a measuring tape, but what if you didn't have one?
A thermometer.
Bucket?
A ruler.
Oh, you could use a ruler. What else?
You could put dots.
Okay, but dots might be different sizes. You can't guarantee they'll all be the same, right? What about your finger? Yeah, I used to use like this part of my finger from knuckle to knuckle. And I could measure that and say, okay, let's see. Okay, what else could you use? Victoria? If you didn't have a paper clip. There's lots of different things you could use. You just have to make sure you can put your hands on. You just have to make sure that you're using the same object to measure all of your items. Yeah, you could use the cubes, like the cube train. All right, let's go to page 169 now. At the top, they're just comparing the frogs and tadpoles again. So let's go down to the practice area, okay? It says here, compare the length of each to a small paper clip. So here's the small paper clip. Write shorter or longer to finish each sentence, okay? So this wiggly, wiggly, wiggly worm, is he longer or shorter than this guy? Johnny? He's longer. So go ahead and trace the word longer. And now, is this guy longer or shorter than this guy? Victoria? So is he longer or shorter than him? He's longer. So write longer for number 2. And now, is this little guy longer or shorter than that guy? Camila? Shorter. So for the last one, write shorter. And when you're finished writing it, turn it over. We made it to the last page of our math lesson today. Compare the length of each picture to a small paper clip. Write shorter or longer to finish each sentence. Is our black tennis shoe shorter or longer than our red tennis shoe? Beckett? Shorter. Good job. Lillian, is that black tennis shoe shorter or longer than the blue tennis shoe? Longer. And Emma, is the blue tennis shoe shorter or longer than the red?
Longer.
The blue is longer than the red?
Shorter.
Yeah, shorter. Good job. All right, let's look at the problem solving. It says Kara, Sue, and Lee cut strings. So I'm going to put a C for Kara, an S for Sue, and an L for Lee. It says Kara's string is longer than Sue's. So here's Kara's string, and it's longer than Sue's. Okay? Kara's string is shorter than Leah's. So here's Leah's, but Kara's has to be shorter. So Kara's string is longer than Sue's. Check. Kara's string is shorter than Leah's. Check. Who has the shortest string? Brooklyn? Who has the shortest string? You can tell me the letter if you can't remember her name. S. Her name is Sue. Good job. So on the line you can write, Sue has the shortest string. All right. It says, what can you use to measure two objects? We've talked about a lot of things, right? As long as you use the same object to measure those. Okay? Great job today, friends. This is going to be the end of the video for these pages. Friends at home, we are going to do a game, so I will record that if you want to watch it, and I'll post that as well. See you later.
Bye.